What is up, Script fam? We are back today. Series 10 previews dropped yesterday. Brought us Vegeks. Easily one of the most hyped strategies we've seen so far, just because the starter deck seems absolutely absurd just with the starter exclusive cards that you get. And today I wanted to provide you the first Series 10 brew that I was testing last night. Vegeks. Dredgeks, if you're familiar with Dredge from Magic. I know that we don't have the Dredge mechanic, but playing things from your drop area for free is very akin to Magic, and how it can feel pretty absurd, because just the value that you get off of milling just generates so much energy advantage, so much card advantage, and it's really hard for people to kind of see how milling to produce effects is so powerful. And so we're going to be going over a little bit of that today as well. So Leader on the front side has a permanent. You can only play mono black battle cards, so you can only play them. You can still contain other cards in your deck, but you can't play anything outside of mono black battle cards. Activate main once per turn, burst 5, draw a card. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or you have 20 or more cards in your drop area. You may draw on cards, switch from 1 energy to active mode, and then add cards from your life until your hand until you have 6 life, and then flip this card over. So, interesting about the Leader is if you're playing against an aggressive strategy, you can awaken at 4 life. If you have 20 cards in your drop area, which is probably going to be the case in the majority, if not all of your games, you may then activate your Awaken skill, which is then to untap 1, take your life from 8 to 6 or 7 to 6, and then draw a card, turn the card over. And then once you're Awaken, you have permanent. You can only play mono black battle cards, as we know, and then Sparking 20. If you were to lose the game by deck out, you then shuffle the cards remaining in your drop area and shuffle them back into your deck. So you can't lose by deck out unless you don't have Sparking 20 anymore, so that can be kind of relevant. Then activate main once per turn, draw a card, then place 5 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area, then choose up to 1 of your black Unison cards, and it gets double strike for the turn. So it shows that, similar to Vegeta from Blue, your win condition can also be your Unison card. And this here, again, having that place the top 5 cards just continues to generate tons of value for you. And thing to note, this Leader doesn't have to attack to draw cards, and that's always been very strong in this game. So off the bat, looking at the Leader, very powerful. Bursting 5 to draw a card is going to be able to provide so much energy and card advantage for you over the course of the game that Bursting 5 is oftentimes can be a draw 3. Even a draw 4 gets really insane. Even more than that, just depending on what you turn over. We're going to show you how we maximize that in this version 1.0 of the deck itself. Again, we're still waiting on final previews, we're still waiting on ban list announcements, we're still waiting on a lot of stuff, but this is the very first version of the deck that we were testing. I wanted to make sure I get it out to you. So first thing, of course, is you're going to be playing all 4 copies of each of the cards that come into the starter deck. Reason why? Because they're free. So you have your Unison card, which auto, if your Leader card is a black sand card, when this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, and you don't have a Unison card in play, you may play this card from your drop area with a marker on it. So that's one thing. Being able to burst 5 and then reveal your Unison, play your Unison, very powerful. Has a +2, activate main, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. This card gets plus 10,000 for the turn. +2 is very relevant. +2 makes sure that this card sticks around in the early turns. So that's a huge boon for you. And the choose 1 card in your hand and discard it is 100% okay. You know, it's one of those things where you just think to yourself, well, I don't want to discard cards. Well, in this deck, hand size really doesn't matter. You are always just going to have access to so many different resources in your drop area. You're going to be able to refill your hand with the different effects that you have to generate hand advantage. And then, of course, you're going to be able to use huge combo effects like Extinction Attack, Bibdi Super Combo to out-combo anything. So you're not really concerned about the amount of cards in your hand. Then -4, activate main. This card gets plus 20,000 power and dual attack for the turn. So this, combined with your Leader, makes it a 25k dual attack double strike, which is absurd because, you know, Unisons are pretty hard to deal with from time to time, and getting this to the -4 is really easy to do. So very strong Unison. The fact that it can come into play for free is awesome. So even if you mulligan all 6, don't see your Unison, you can still burst 5 to be able to find it. Time Agent Vegeta has unique, so you can only have 1 copy of this card played in your battle area, and this permanent, if this card would be removed from your battle area, it is sent to its owner's warp instead. So that's just noting, so you just can't loop over and over again or get it back, but of course we have ways to get around that. And then auto, if your Leader card is a black sand card, when this card is placed in your drop area from your deck by a skill, you may play this card from your drop area. So this is just that free value we're talking about. So being able to burst 5, and then now you're going to flip over this 4-drop 19k attacker. High value card. Activate battle once per turn. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards energy cost 3 or less and send it to its owner's warp. So here's some removal for you. But the biggest thing is the fact that you're playing this 19k for free. You're spending no energy. All you're doing is just playing your deck as it's intended, which is turning 5 cards over. So turn 1, let's say you're on the play and you mill 5. It's Okay, hit a Time Agent Vegeta. Okay, hit a Time Agent Trunks. Okay, hit a Supreme Kai Time. Okay, hit a Unison. Like, those kind of things can happen, and then just think about the energy advantage and card advantage you're generating from having these things on board. Time Agent Trunks, same thing, unique, blocker, and it has the same effect where if it gets milled, it comes into play, and then auto, when this card is played, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. So, can be self-awakening for you. You don't have to choose the life if you're trying to keep your life total high, which I really like to do in this deck is keep my life total high because I'll explain it a little bit, reason why, but again, free blocker, free real estate, we're all about it. Supreme Guide Time, Guardian of Space Time. If you have 5 or less cards in your hand, when this card is used in a combo, this card gets plus 5,000 combo power for the battle. So, majority of the time, this is going to be a free 10k combo in your hand or on your board. Because again, if it's milled, if you don't have it doesn't have unique, that's a big thing too, but when it's milled, you can play it as well, which is just absurd. So you just get to mill these. These are free 10k combos based off the way that the deck runs. So you're just always going to have access to a 10k combo plus the defense in your hand, which is just absurd. So right off the bat, the value of getting all these cards, like think about just like bursting 5 and hitting a Time Agent Vegeta in a Trunks. Like you drew a card for bursting 5, you got a 19k, you got a blocker, you spent 0 energy. So just think about how much you plussed. So already, absolutely bananas. That's why we're maxing out on 4 copies of this. Next, you get to play one of the most broken engines in the game, which is Universe 3. And you get to play one of the most broken cards in the game, which is Turles the Unstoppable Ghost Warrior. So Turles is the Unison killer. You're going to play 4 copies. You need it. And Turles, along with Trunks Blocker, have synergy with Negrishi from the Shadows. We're only playing 3 copies of Negrishi, Viara, and Anilaza because, of course, the deck's already above 50 cards. We're at 57 cards. That we don't want to go 4x copies because, again, you know, since you're bursting 5 every single turn, you're always going to find at least 1 copy of this card playing 3 copies. But in general, you're just going to be able to generate a wide board state with a ton of attacks without spending any energy or resources. So remember that. Turles, as we know, dual attack, and then you can activate battle to just go ahead, choose a card in your hand, place it in a drop area, it gets plus 5,000 power for the turn, which again, you don't care about your hand size. Your hand size does not matter, it's irrelevant. What matters is your life total and your board state. Those are the only 2 things you care about because, the thing about this deck, and I'll get into what's the most broken thing about this deck, is since everything you're doing, every battle card you're producing for free, and every action you're taking is just additional advantage for you, you're producing a board state that your opponent has to deal with before they can focus their attention on your leader. Because since you're going to be blowing them out with as many attackers in a really wide board, if they can't deal with them, they can't ever attack your leader because they have to be able to defend their own life. So this deck, just what it does is, since everything it does is free, it just accumulates this advantage where it's like, okay, well, I have 4, 5, 6 battle cards on the field. Like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to attack me? You attack my battle cards? And my life total is really high. I'm sitting at 6, 7 life. You know, how are you going to win the game at this point? And now, if you're playing Vegeks, all you have to do is just take your time, whittle down your opponent's resources, and then you're just going to outvalue them because they're having to spend so much resources trying to kill your board. They can't actually focus their attention on killing you. So that's probably the thing that feels the most absurd about this deck in practice, is just how insane it is that you can generate all of this material for free or little to no energy, and your opponent has to deal with it before they can do anything. So continuing on, 3 Negrishi, we're going to use this to be able to play off of our Turles Unstoppable Ghost Warrior or our Trunks Time Agent. So what's cool about Turles plus Negrishi is that, say your opponent has a Unison with 3 counters on it, swing twice with Turles, warp it, bring in Negrishi swing, the Unison's dead. So just 2-card combo, gets rid of Unison. Very powerful. Viara Everlasting Assault. Viara can be done off of your Time Agent, Vegeta, which you're going to have him play pretty often. So just being able to go Time Agent Vegeta, swing with a 19k, warp it, bring in a Viara, swing with the Viara, 20k critical, like just tons of advantage. Exactly what you want. Viara's amazing, and that's why also we're playing 2 Further Instruction Champa. It was for those turns where you have a Viara swinging, and you can just really put that pressure on the opponent. 3 Hatchak Hatred Everlasting. The Mill 2 effect is very impactful because you want to be able to, again, you don't really care about hand size, you care about your drop area. So being able to just get additional mills to get additional value and then get you closer to Awaken, that's why we're playing 3. And of course, great attacker, you can play your drop area. It's 3 energy, place 3 black cards between 3 and 7 at the bottom of your deck. Play those cards, it's 25k beater. That can then transition into Anilaza, the Towering Atrocity, which is double strike barrier. You just warp your Hatchak, play your Anilaza. Then we have 3 Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence. The reason why this card's important is because this card kind of gets around that thing about having to warp your time agent or warp your trunks. You can just put them back in your drop area, so when it's time for you to cycle your deck back over again, you can have them there. So Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence, we're playing this in the deck. It's also one of our finishers, and again, helps set up a turn where you can play multiple Anilazas, the Towering Atrocity, because let's say you have a Hatchiyak, you played it the turn before, you left it untapped, you go to your turn, after playing and making an entrance, you evolve on the making an entrance with Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence, you swing with the Hatchiyak, you swing with the Son Goku, you bring in Anilaza to replace the Hatchiyak, you bring in Anilaza to replace the Son Goku, and you just get this kind of storm-like effect with 25k beaters, so pretty decent. And then, of course, Anilaza, one of our finishers, Wickedness Incarnate, and 2 Great Ape Son Goku Saiyan Instincts. So this is going to be our draw power for the deck. The reason we're doing a 2-2 split is because Saiyan Instincts is very strong. We know that, and you could probably play more copies if you wanted to, but we had to make a lot of space for other concessions. So drawing 2 is good, but Majin Buu Wickedness Incarnate has synergy with Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence. You can push it back and just have the ability to get that additional draw 2 again. You could also do something like play Gravy if you want to go away from the Son Goku Saiyan Transcendence package. Or if you want to go up to 60 cards, you could play Gravy, and then Gravy lets you get these cards back in your drop area regardless of color. So that's something to think about too. And of course, 2 for the Instruction Champa to help us finish the game. Then for our Negates, extra cards, and combo cards, we have 4 Power Burst cards. Great. Get you back your Son Goku making an interest. Get you back your Supreme Kai, because if you get back your Supreme Kai, that's another free 10k combo. 4 Majin Buu's Human Extinction Attack, 15k combo. All your energy is black. Choose one battle card in your opponent's drop area and send it to their warp. Then place up to 4 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area. This is great. It's discard pile hate, so anyone that's playing Saiyan Instincts, if you're playing the mirror match, just being able to get cards out of the drop area is very important. And just the 15k is super relevant. Just making sure that you can't die and defend attacks really early. And when you're trying to push for damage, and you're early self-awakening because you're putting a total of 5 cards in your drop area, which is pretty absurd. Then you have 4 Bibbidi Primeval Conjurer, that your super combo, probably the best super combo right now. You get a ton of value out of it. It's going to be huge. And since we're playing 57 card deck, just having this massive 30k combo, 40k combo, is just absolutely wild when you're trying to close out a game or you're just trying to protect something. It's very hard for people to be able to break through this card. If you see multiple copies over the course of the game, you see all copies, it's very hard for you to ever lose. 3 Son Goku making an entrance is part of our Saiyan Transcendence package and good with our Power Burst. Allows us to defend ourselves early and during the mid and later parts of the game. And then 1 Dragon Ball's Negative Energy Overflow. Black Smoke Dragon is very good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's awesome. And I think that if you want to go that route, completely defendable. But hear me out. Counters are really good, right? Smoke Dragon doesn't have Deflect. Just another thing to note. So all these effects have the ability to interact with Smoke Dragon, whereas Dragon Ball's Negative Energy Overflow is the cheapest board wipe in your game that you always have access to, and it's a great way to reset. It's a great way if you're ever playing the mirror match to be able to reset the board so you can go back to your turn with the advantage. If you're ever playing against any sort of strategy that requires multiple battle cards on the field, if you're playing against Jiren, etc. Being able to reset the board is exactly what you want, and Dragon Ball's Negative Energy Overflow is going to be incredibly impactful in Series 10. You will see. It's been so important in all of our testing. It's probably been one of the best secret rares to play in general, but here's the overall deck. We went over a lot of information. We heard a lot of noises due to my lovely dogs downstairs, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you so much for everything. Make sure if you haven't got a chance, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Things are popping off. Series 10. Everyone knows that when previews come out, there's only one content producer that you are going to get the absolute best information out of. You're going to get the best deck list when it comes to making version 1.0, the best analysis. That's 3HD Productions. Make sure you check out the Patreon. Keep checking out our YouTube channel. We're going to have videos weekly, articles, etc. But anyway, thank you so much. #GrubFam is best fam. Okay, thanks. Bye!